Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, June 8th. Cristobal is now a tropical depression, but by no means is it done with wreaking havoc on the U.S. It came ashore in Louisiana on Sunday and is now moving northward right along the Mississippi River Valley from the Gulf Coast region. It'll make it all the way up to the Canadian border over the next 48 hours or so and produce a long swath of heavy rainfall from the Gulf all the way to the upper part of the Midwest into southern Canada. It's a very healthy system right now, and in fact, there are reasons to believe that it will remain under quite favorable environmental conditions over the next 6 to 12 hours or so as in fact a high pressure ridge develops over top of it as it slides through Arkansas and then up the Mississippi River Valley. Here's the latest satellite imagery loop from the College of DuPage weather website. It kind of shifts the channels here as we go from the overnight infrared into the visible imagery loop here as sunrise develops here. And again, a very healthy looking system. It came ashore in Louisiana after moving northward through the Gulf of Mexico and will ride northward really from the Yucatan Peninsula region of Mexico northward all the way into southern Canada in a 48 to 72 hour period. Here it is right now, and it will just continue to move right along the Mississippi River Valley, producing heavy rainfall all the way up to places like Wisconsin over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. And again, with high pressure ridging building it aloft, kind of helps with divergence aloft and convergence down at the lower levels of the atmosphere. This is going to remain quite a healthy system, even though it is over land right now. Again, tropical depression status. In fact, not completely out of the question that its strength is enough to return to tropical storm status at some point along its trek along the Mississippi River Valley over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Meanwhile, in the mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast, very, very comfortable start to the week with very nice temperatures and humidity levels for this time of the year. Well, in terms of rainfall, this is over the next 3 days, and again, basically a south to north movement of Cristobal, and it will continue to produce heavy rainfall over the next 2 or 3 days right up to the Canadian border and then in fact into Canada. So all of this is associated with what is now tropical depression Cristobal, and again it is encountering favorable atmospheric conditions with high pressure ridging building in over top of it and could in fact strengthen again into tropical storm status, something we'll watch for over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Regardless, there'll be a swath of heavy rain all the way up to Minnesota and Wisconsin and then into the southern part of Canada over the next 2 or 3 days. Well, let's now take a look at the 6Z GFS model run and a couple interesting things to point out. First of all, we have Cristobal sliding from south to north over the next 24 to 48 to 72 hours or so, producing a swath of heavy rainfall right along the Mississippi River Valley. And another interesting thing that we'll see here reflected on the 850 millibar temperature anomalies is that we have another cool shot coming into the northeast U.S. later this week into the upcoming weekend. So even though we are well into the month of June, really no sustained hot weather in sight. Maybe an occasional flirtation with the 90-degree mark in places like D.C. over the next several days, but for the most part, no sustained hot weather yet. And in fact, we'll see in a moment here another relatively cool air mass coming our way late in the week and during the upcoming weekend for the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. Here we are starting off today with very comfortable conditions in the northeast U.S. Seasonable temperatures, maybe even a little bit below normal, and very comfortable humidity levels. Let's now push forward here over the next few days, and we'll see we do get to much warmer conditions by Tuesday afternoon. High pressure in control today will shift off the east coast, and that will allow for much milder air, much warmer air to move in tomorrow afternoon into the mid-Atlantic region, whereas today we may be confined to the 70s, maybe up to near 80 degrees in some spots in the I-95 corridor region. We'll be well up in the 80s on Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday as well. But look at this chilly air mass here on the cold side of tropical depression Cristobal as it moves up along the Mississippi River Valley, and that ends up kind of aligning with an upper level feature here to push another cooler than normal air mass into the Great Lakes region, and then ultimately over the upcoming weekend into the northeastern part of the nation. Another very comfortable air mass here coming our way in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Great Lakes, in the northeast U.S. late in the week and over the upcoming weekend. This is a week from today, next Monday morning, with still below normal temperatures, at least at the 850 millibar level in the Mid-Atlantic region and Great Lakes and northeast U.S. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS at 6Z. Here's Cristobal, now a tropical depression. It came ashore as a tropical storm. An outside chance that as it potentially intensifies over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, could return back to tropical storm status over land. Unusual, but the reason is it's got some nice high pressure ridging building in the upper part of the atmosphere, especially when it's over Arkansas over the next 6 to 12 hours or so. Divergence aloft will combine with convergence at the surface to keep this a healthy system, maybe even an intensifying system, and it will produce a swath of heavy rainfall right up into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Very nice weather to start the week in the northeast. Let's move forward here. Arkansas hit hard by the remnants of Cristobal in the near term, and then that continues to move straight north, and it came right from the Yucatan Peninsula region of Mexico, really due north, that whole trek all the way up to the Canadian border here. And then by the time we get into Wednesday, it's now into southern Canada. But look at that millibar, the central pressure, 984 millibars. Very healthy land storm here. And again, slight chance it turns a tropical storm. It will be an extra tropical type of system, but nonetheless, it may reach the strength of a tropical storm again over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. But look at the 984 millibars here in southern Canada by Wednesday afternoon. Now a frontal system will start approaching the eastern seaboard right here, and that's probably the next shot of any kind of significant rainfall in places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City late Wednesday night, as a frontal system arrives. That tends to stall out and weaken, so it kind of remains a little bit unsettled in the northeast U.S. for Thursday and Friday, but quite warm. This cold front will not have much of a push of cool air behind it. However, as we saw a moment ago at the 850 millibar level, cooler air, more comfortable air, actually pushes into the northeast U.S. over the upcoming weekend. So the big story right now is Cristobal, now tropical depression status, but the reasons to believe it will maintain its strength, perhaps even increase in intensity over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, as it pushes a swath of heavy rainfall from the southern part of the Mississippi River Valley all the way to the Canadian border, Minnesota, Wisconsin, getting some heavy rainfall, and ultimately the southern part of Canada. Meanwhile, very nice start to the weather this week in the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast U.S. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.